Coming up on Cogeco News, an emergency meeting to pass some helpful items along to local city people packing up and leaving. Yes, the residences are closing down in a rather odd day to open a new store, but it was. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of Cogeco News. I'm Greg Estabrooks. Well, as the local economy struggles mightily during the coronavirus outbreak, North Bay City Council is offering some tax breaks to residents and businesses. Clark Heipel was at City Hall late this afternoon following an emergency meeting that was held at 2:30 on Friday afternoon. Clark?
Yes, Greg, an emergency meeting of North Bay City Council called on Friday afternoon for Friday afternoon. It was concerning economic strain placed on North Bay citizens and, of course, the businesses. Some tax relief was announced by North Bay City Council that was passed unanimously.
What we're doing today is offering some assistance to citizens and businesses that are financially affected during this time.
What this is going to do is going to allow city staff to be able to waive penalties and waive interest for water and tax bills. Doesn't sound like a lot, but what happens is if somebody doesn't have the ability to pay their bill, because water bills just went out the other day, if you can't pay us, please call us. If you're on pre-authorized payments, please call us if you can't make those payments. We can't guess on who can or who can't make payments. Some people are still receiving income just like they normally would, but there are people that are being laid off, businesses that are slowing down. And this isn't just for the citizens, this is for the businesses as well. This is something where we need to hear from you if you're having difficulties. So this allowed us today to implement that bylaw.
If you're struggling to pay your tax bill, call us. If you're struggling to pay your water bill, call us. We're here to assist. And that goes for businesses and citizens. So there are citizens that will be laid off from those businesses. And third, we want you to support our local businesses. It's really, really important that we support our local businesses.
Also breaking news on this Friday afternoon from Nipissing Mental Health Housing and Support Services. There has been an increase in demand for shelter. And as we have temperatures nearing the minus 20s in the early morning hours of Saturday, capacity has been expanded for the shelter. The former Good to Go building that was acting as a warming center has been relocated to the Center of Friends downtown.
It's got an increased capacity. They will be able to accommodate 25 there as opposed to 15 at the Good to Go warming center. So those are hours of operation effective tonight will be 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. These will be temporary measures and put in place effective immediately. The current Good to Go warming center will become a daytime hub for these individuals that they could go to. Those hours of operation will be 8:30 in the morning to 8:30 at night.
Plenty of breaking news from North Bay City Hall on this Friday afternoon. Stay tuned to Cogeco News for continuing coverage during this COVID outbreak. Let's send it back to Greg in the studio.
More from Mr. Heipel in a moment. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced on Friday new measures to stimulate Canada's economy while fighting COVID-19 and its massive impact. Trudeau is asking Canadian manufacturers and industry to transition production to supply healthcare products that are so desperately in demand.
We are launching Canada's plan to mobilize industry to fight COVID-19, to ensure that we can quickly produce here in Canada the things we need.
We're 100% behind that. We've got to deal with this head on. Those are some of the measures that the Government of Canada are bringing forward that are saying we need everybody's support on this. No different than, in wartime efforts. This is a war. It's against a different enemy. The enemy is the COVID-19. And so to ramp up that type of production, to make sure that we have enough products internally within our own borders, to make sure that we're not reliant on other countries, I think is a really good step. We don't know how long this is going to be. We don't know what the scope of this is going to be. We're in the infancy stage of it, but hopefully with a lot of the measures that have already been put in by the province, by the feds, certainly with the social distancing, with all of the different things in self-isolation, You can see it that people are taking heed of these, just the volume of traffic on streets, the amount of people, and the businesses that, can't afford to be shut down are shutting down, and they're taking this very seriously. So from those, with some of the measures that are being taken right now as we enter into this, with the other proposed measures that are starting to formulate right now for when we come out of it, and how we're going to help small businesses, individuals, and large businesses rise from this terrible disaster, or the COVID-19. Those are what we're going to focus on now, because we are going to come out of this. It's not a matter of if we're going to, it's when we come out of this. But we are going to come out of it, and with the cooperation of our businesses, our individuals, and everybody across the board, that's how we're going to come out of it.
Well, they are packing up and leaving from residences from both Nipissing University and Canadore College. Word came from both schools late Thursday afternoon. This was the scene over the noon hour on Friday as students were getting, well, frankly, out of town. This nursing student was heading home to the Collingwood area with an assist from Dad. Nipissing University and Canadore College are proceeding with a full campus closure that will last 3 weeks in response to the coronavirus outbreak, and who knows if that's going to be the end of it. Nipissing students were asked to leave residences by Sunday. Same thing for Canadore. They added through a release as well that most students will not need to return to campus this semester. However, this is not the case for all students. To minimize the risk of spreading COVID-19, Canadore is encouraging students living in residence who are able to return home to voluntarily move again by Sunday, which is March 22nd. For students who cannot return home due to travel restrictions or personal circumstances, residences will remain open with limited services. And yes, it was a windy one this afternoon. Meanwhile, changes have been made to North Bay's transit in light of COVID-19. All fares for rides have been suspended until further notice. Riders are now asked to enter and exit the rear of the bus and to practice social distancing while riding transit. Of course, ridership has been way down. Passengers with mobility issues requiring the use of the mobility ramp are able to do so upon special request. And from the Here We Go Again file, the 2019 Sunshine List has been released, and former CEO Keith Robichaux, fired in December of 2018, is on the 2019 list, making over $200,000 last year. He was listed as the chief administrative officer. Now, many of you remember a similar mess when former CEO Jerry Knox was paid over $200,000 and was listed as a corporate advisor. We hope to gain reaction from a number of sources on that story on Monday because it broke on Friday afternoon. When we come back, yes, there was a new store opening on this day, that and more right after this. Welcome back. Well, dozens of local businesses have been forced to temporarily close amid the COVID-19 outbreak. One local business decided to open its doors today. Tokyo Smoke, North Bay's first cannabis retail outlet, is now open in the Nipissing Plaza in Ferris.
It is a difficult situation. This is a difficult time. I've hired 20 odd people from North Bay. I know that other cannabis stores in Toronto may be looking for people. People are welcome to submit their CVs to us. We're pretty much full, but I don't know, so they're welcome to submit their CVs, and we can always take a look.
What's offered here? What can people buy?
There's a great selection. There's flour, there's edibles, there's oils, there's vapes. We have a wide selection of all kinds of cannabis-related products.
And in terms of demand, how do you feel the demand is in North Bay?
Well, we've only been open for a few hours, so I think it's good. I hope it's good. We're competing with the black market. Our products are quality products, so we have a good selection. And I think that we can, at a good price, and I think that we can beat the black market, and I welcome everyone to come on down and check it out.
And being that this is the first cannabis store to open up in North Bay, you kind of got a head start on that?
Well, I'm happy that that's the case, and I know that there are other cannabis stores coming up the road, but I'm happy that we're the first in town, and I'm happy to make a contribution to the community.
Never would have thunk it a few years ago. Now to the Community Bulletin Cancellation Board, and there's lots to talk about. First of all, we'll recap this for the folks who either live at the base or use their facilities, and that's lots of people, civilian and military. The Air Mess closed, Wing Chapel closed, Canucks and Subway, 22 Wing Fitness and Wellness Center, the museum, the Military Family Resource Center, the Little Wings Child Care Center, all closed. Moving on, North Bay Symphony was going to have a big concert in April. Brilliant Beethoven canceled. Capitol Center, all shows canceled until May 1st. North Bay Ball Hockey League is canceled, and this one just came in this afternoon. The Hall of Fame dinner scheduled for May, also canceled for 2020. Tough, tough times. When we come back, Mr. Heupel has the weather, and I talk via Skype with Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heupel here in Lee Park. I'm here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Also here to suggest you try on a shade of red to show your support for the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces every Friday. We have reached the weekend, the first weekend of spring. As you see, the rain has transitioned to snow as we have reached the freezing mark early afternoon on Friday. Now the temperature is going to drop big time, nearly 20 degrees from this point to about 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. We're going to reach minus 19 in the morning on Saturday. A sunny weekend in store, nearing the freezing mark on both days, so we have nice conditions to look forward to outside this weekend. Let's take a look at the 5-day forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Heading overnight on this Friday night, the temperature drops big time and the winds pick up big time as well. 50 kilometer per hour wind gusts as we head overnight. A low of minus 19, the wind chill making it feel like minus 28. And just a reminder, it is spring. On Saturday, the 21st of March, sunny skies to look forward to, a high of minus 2. However, in the morning, it's going to be cold. The temperature rises as the day goes on, and the wind chill a factor in the morning, minus 27 as the sun comes up on Saturday. Saturday night, a clear, cold low of minus 16. More clear skies to look forward to on Sunday, high minus 1, low minus 9. And looking at the new work week now, high plus 3 on Monday with a mix of sun and cloud and a low of minus 3. And Tuesday, March 24th, as far as we're going to get, high plus 5, low minus 2, sun and cloud mix. Turning the page back to the almanac, on Thursday we had a high of 6 above and a low of 5 below. The normals are 3 above and 8 below for the normal high and low this time in March. There you have it. There is your 5-day weather forecast. Let's head over to Greg Esterbrooks as he's joined by Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli. Greg, take it away.
Meetings are going on constantly. There's a lot of fear out there, Vic. I got to be honest with you. People are losing their jobs. People are, being as responsible as they can about not going out. But there's still a lot of fear out there. And again, this morning, Air Canada announced 5,000 layoffs. That's pretty devastating. How do you try to get people to stay calm in that kind of situation?
Well, I think, first of all, the health and well-being of the people of Ontario is our top priority. It's all about our health right now. There are pieces that are being put in place both by the federal government and by our provincial government to make sure that cash flows into families. That's why unemployment insurance will start immediately. There's no wait period. That's why we put in legislation that no employee can lose their job because they won't be able to show up at a place of work. We put a lot of legislation in the last day. We'll have even more coming in next week with, I'll call them buckets. The first bucket of relief from the provincial government was $304 million into the healthcare area for more beds and more testing centers. The second one that'll be announced next week will be what is available for families and individuals. And the third one, which will come out at the same time, will be supports for the business community. And so all of that is coming, but it's the health and welfare of our families. We're following the advice of the Chief Medical Officer of Health, and we're taking their advice.
You obviously have been spending a lot of time at conference calls, and you'll be in Toronto in person with the cabinet. I mean, the situation is so fluid, Vic. You really don't know what each day is going to hold. How can you plan for that when you don't know what's going to happen next, really?
Well, cabinet met this morning for a couple of hours by phone. Our Treasury Board is meeting this afternoon. We've got another cabinet session later on today. We're continuing to plan as the advice comes in from the Medical Officer of Health and as the various data comes in as well. I've been on the phone with manufacturers from one end of the province to the other looking to convert their facilities to making hand sanitizer. If you're in the distillery business, we're asking you to look at converting for us right now. We don't care what kind of bottle you use for the hand sanitizer, as long as it's properly labeled. We're working with auto parts manufacturers to make ventilators, respirators. I spoke with companies like Canada Goose about making gowns and hospital wear. We're looking for as much conversion of these idle facilities into something that we need today. We'll worry about firing up the rest of manufacturing once this short period is over. The auto companies, for instance, have shut down. Basically, it's temporary. It's 6 or 7 days. It's 10 days in some cases. It's 2 weeks in others. So we'll continue to work with them to make sure the supports are in place so they can open up again. And in the meantime, their employees are able to be taken care of as well.
Final question will be this. The border is being shut down between Canada and the U.S. President Trump said it's not going to affect trade. How do you feel about that?
We're very happy at that. That would really be a move that we wouldn't encourage. So closing the borders to travel is one thing, and our chief medical officer of health says that that's an important phase as well. But for trade, we still have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people working in Ontario that rely on goods and services. We want to make sure that those goods and services flow evenly between the two countries. So that we keep that part of our economy working, but also it's providing goods and services to our families. So I would say to you, we make all the products here in Ontario. We're making toilet paper every day. I spoke with the Irving family who make toilet paper here in Ontario. They're 3 shifts a day. They're making it as fast as they can and as much as they can. So there's no shortage of it. There's no shortage of any materials for it. We're still producing pork and beef and chicken, and it's just sometimes the shelves get cleared out faster than they can be restocked. But I've been in touch with Loblaw, Sobeys, all of the chains, all of the Canadian Tire, Best Buy, all of the people who are providing day-to-day essentials. And in this day and age, telecom is essential. That's how we're expected to work. We're expected to practice social distancing. So we rely on Rogers and all of these other companies as well. So I've been in nonstop communication with these companies to ensure that that all of our economy is still as active as it can be while practicing social distancing. And again, I can only emphasize the number one priority in this stage of this pandemic is our health and well-being.
All right, Vic, thank you so much for joining us from the home office on this day. We'll update, of course, on Monday. I'll be back with more right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. The Ontario Hockey League regular season ended this week because of the pandemic, and the playoffs are looking less likely every day. For North Bay native Ben Gaudreau, the cancellation of the regular season meant the end of his rookie year, as his Sarnia Sting were not heading to the playoffs. We caught up to him earlier this week, just before the final regular season announcement came in.
For sure. I think this year was based more on development, so just starting to get those shots and getting better. And I feel like it's pretty good, honestly. The team didn't do too great. We were at the bottom of the pack. But hopefully coming in next year, a few developmental guys there. Next thing you know, we could be on the top. So see how it goes.
What was the biggest adjustment for you? I mean, obviously you knew it was going to be tougher, better players, older players, better shooters, all those things. But what was the number one thing that you had to adjust to playing in the OHL?
I think the workload for sure. You definitely kind of learn within the first few weeks that if you're not going to bring it, you're not going to play, right? So just about bringing it, being able to battle through stuff. I mean, your gear breaks down quicker too, so at the end of the season, you're just trying to not get hurt at practice, honestly, right? Pucks are coming in pretty fast, so they hurt. But honestly, the workload's probably the biggest one for sure.
How about the mental part of it? Did you have to refocus mentally too? Because again, you are playing sometimes 2 games in 3 nights as a goalie. Sometimes some goalies play 3 games in 3 nights.
For sure. We had to obviously with workouts and stuff and protein shakes, you can kind of keep your body well. But for mental side, for sure, I mean, you got to get your sleep and you got to stay focused on the task at hand. It's so important just to kind of stay in that right set of mind for the next game, focus on the next shot. Even during the game, you can't get too down on yourself if it's going the wrong way.
Trust me, he was actually there when I interviewed him. The final skiing event of the Laurentian shortened season took place this weekend past. It was converted from a competition into a training weekend, and sadly for the skiers, it'd be training for next year. Here is part 2 of our 2-part series.
Ski cross is 4 men on a track. We have a start gate behind us, as you can see. They all come out of the start at the same time, and there's rollers, there's bumps, there's berms, there's jumps, and it's first 2 to the bottom keep advancing. So it's a bracket series racing. It's a lot of fun. Win or lose, the athletes really enjoy it.
So it's something like a foot race for something like the summer to race on skis or snowboards for winter.
It would be very similar to motocross, would be a great example, maybe rally car racing. Motocross is probably the most similar event to it, motocross racing.
How many competitions would they be entered in? You know, if it wasn't for the virus this year, how many competitions would the kids get to go through during any given year?
Okay, so we participate in a series called the Alpine Ontario O Cup series, ski cross series, and it consists of 5 events, the 6th being the provincial event.
We're out of time. Stay home, be safe. We'll see you again right here at Cogeco News, live on the air Monday at 5. Have a great weekend.